Hello folks, how are you? Today's video is not necessarily a how-to on how to do something around the garden. That's my normal MO, but today's video is kind of motivated by Seller559 put out a video requesting people to post their 2 favorite videos of their own creation. Not their most popular ones, but the videos that they consider to be the best ones. And I put 2 out there that I've done. I've been on YouTube for just a month and a half, but I have about 20 videos, and I put 2 out there. One of them is my little girl helping me start some seeds. It's a cold winter. It's a cold day in February. I think it's February the 1st. It's a very cold day, and she's out there with me, helping me. That video was completely unscripted, unchoreographed. I just saw her doing something, and I took the camera and started shooting it. And the other video is about the urban garden, about the urban garden, I think, or urban food forest. And it's about my trees in my backyard, my fruit trees. And it got me thinking, why do I think these 2 videos are the best videos that I have? I mean, my video quality is crappy, really. I have no delusions of that. But I try to bring some content that has experience into it so that you guys get motivated to do something. And those 2 videos are particularly interesting to me because, well, I think it's very important for anybody to learn to garden, especially learn to grow your own food, not just garden and to grow little flowers and stuff like that, but learn to grow your own food. In the prepping world, where we're talking about, you know, the beans, bullets, and band-aids, but nobody really talks about gardening or growing food or planting trees that are gonna outlive you and gonna provide something for a future generation. And I think that's important. The other thing is that I think it's very important to teach your kids to learn to garden. I don't see many kids nowadays. Well, they really don't know where their food comes from. I mean, society has become so detached about where their food comes from, their milk, their eggs, their beef, their vegetables, and it's just like magically appears in the store. But that's not the case, and our supply chains are very fragile. And you don't realize that until you're stranded and behind an ice storm and you see the store shelves get depleted in a matter of hours. You don't realize that until people start fighting for the last gallon of milk at Walmart, you know. Our stores don't carry much food. They don't have warehouses anymore. The floor is it. What you see on the shelves, that's what you have. Most American households have 3 days of food in their pantry. That's it. I mean, you talk about an emergency, and you have a existential threat on your hands in about 3 days, which is the time it takes people to run out of food. So I think it's important to grow your own gardens. I mean, a garden is not gonna keep you fed year-round. It's not going to do much for you some months of the year when it's cold, but it does help you stabilize things. You know, these trees, for example, here's a apricot tree, nectarine tree. Look, it's loaded with buds right here. All these are going to be fruits in about 4 months, 5 months. This cherry tree has some buds in there. I don't know if it'll produce it or not, but it's there. Here's an apple tree. Here's a fig tree, another fig bush on the ground. Here's another apple tree. Here's another peach tree, and in the corner is a pear tree. And outside the fence is a pluot, and right next to it is a plum. And by the corner over there, in the far corner by the fence, is a persimmons. And there's a apple tree over there, to where I'm pointing. And there's a lemon tree in a pot. And look at these raised beds. There's potatoes in these raised beds here. This one hasn't been planted yet, but this is Swiss chard. This plant has been producing for almost a year now, more than a year. And it's been through cold, frost, everything. And I can still eat this thing right now. I can yank leaves off it and eat it. That box right there has potatoes in it. All these containers in the bottom where the dog is, Mrs. Daisy, they all have potatoes planted in them. There's some onions on that side. Okay, you tell me how much food security this brings to anybody's life. Right down there, I got my little seeds started. This is the seeds that my little daughter was planting, helping me plant a month ago. Now they're coming out. So you tell me how much food security this little plot. I'm talking a little plot here. What is this? Maybe I got 800 square feet planted. In just a very small part of the house, I have a lot of food production here. Here's an area where I will be building a 3 Sisters garden later today when it gets warmer. Corn, squash, and beans. I'm preparing this area since last year. There's a compost pile there to build soil for my garden. See, there's a lot of things you can do in your backyard to ensure that if something happens to our economy, to our society, you have some food resiliency in your life. Even if nothing happens, well, what's wrong with eating some good food? Here's a rosemary. Look at this. And that thing will. How many chickens can you season with this bush here? This bush is there. I mean, I don't water nothing. It's just there. It refuses to die. You know, it's kind of in the way. Here's a little fig tree that I'm going to move because it gets in the way of this little raised bed here. Here's another little raised bed right there. Here's another little raised bed over here. You know, here's this keyhole garden that's just there, and all this stuff produces immense amounts of food. I mean, there's times when I'm just giving it away, taking it to the office and giving it to people because I don't know what to do with it. We can't eat all the food that comes out of this little garden, and it's just a very small garden. 800 square feet is nothing. Some of you live out in the country. Hell, you can do a hell of a lot more than I can here. But I mean, it's important that you know how to do it, to learn to do it now when you have the opportunity to do it. I know that some people buy sometimes these seeds for an emergency. You know, guess what? Seeds degrade over time. A seed that you buy this year, by next year, maybe 1 out of 2 will not germinate, and the year after, maybe only 1 in 3 will germinate, and so on and so forth. You know, you can't just think you're going to learn gardening as you go, you know, on the fly. It takes years. I've been doing this for about 8 years, and I'm still a beginner. But every year I try. Every year I have my failures. Every year I learn from it. Here's a little persimmons tree. I just planted this thing last year, and this thing gives me fruits all the way out into November. It's a very good little tree. Wait till it gets big. I mean, it'll have a lot of production. So get your kids involved in this. I mean, if you don't know how to do it, YouTube. I mean, there's hundreds of videos on YouTube on how to do this. Look at all these herbs right here. You got rosemary, thyme, sage. I think this is sage. Okra. Look at this okra. Anybody like okra? These are just pods from last year. Look at all the seeds that are in here. You know how many okra plants I can plant with this stuff here? Look. See? Look at all the seeds that are coming there. Just throw them in the backyard and they grow like a damn weed, really. It's that easy. You know? A little raised bed here. I can put garlics in here if I want to. Something else. All these little paths here, I'll be planting with tomatoes, squash. I mean, it's just, I don't trust the weather this early in March, but come April, all this stuff is going to be populated with something, you know. An urban garden is a very productive little space because you utilize everything to the maximum. You leave your little walkways, just enough to go through, like here, you know. You go through, but everything else you plant on. So, if you don't know how to garden, learn to garden. It's easy. I mean, you won't learn from videos. I mean, you get an idea of what you have to do with videos, but ultimately, get a shovel, dig a hole, and put something on there. Preferably, put some trees. Trees are perennials. They keep on giving you fruits year after year. I mean, this apple tree, if I leave it there, it'll last 50 years. Okay? How much is that worth to your property? You know, this fig tree, 20, 30 years, if I take care of it. Another apple tree. You know, think of the value that all these fruit trees bring to your family, to the value of your house, to the health of your kids. You don't know really what the future holds for us. What you do know is that we're 7 billion people on this planet, and we're all going for resources, and we are dependent on some agricultural systems that are extremely bad for the environment. I mean, and unsustainable too, for that matter. One is agriculture going to collapse because the topsoil has been completely depleted, because the inputs that you have to put into a barren piece of soil that has been monocrop for years are more expensive than the food that comes out of it. At what point is your food just going to get crazy bad expensive because of land mismanagement. Yet you have all these lawns on American backyards that just go empty year after year, and people just keep putting Roundup on them to kill weeds, and keep on putting fertilizers to grow grass. Useless stuff, really. I don't use any of that stuff here in my backyard. I don't use Roundup, I don't use fertilizers, nothing. I don't even water my lawn and it's green. Just think about it. You don't know if in the future food will be so scarce that some nations may not have. You know, most people around the world don't even know how to garden. They're starving and they don't even know how to garden. You know, it doesn't cross their head to plant a little seed, plant an apple. You know, they buy an apple at the store, and it doesn't cross their head to put the seeds in the ground and get something out of it. Yeah, okay, it may not be a real good apple, it may be a little bitter, a little sour, but hell, you can make it into a pie or something, and you have something substantial to eat. Most people don't think that way, you know? Most people look at a government, subsidies, all kinds of things to get their food. And well, guess what the government brings to you? They bring rice, they bring wheat, they bring carbs, basically. Not very nutritious. And the way they're grown, they're probably even less nutritious. Now look at all this stuff here. It's all burned by the winter. My fault for not covering it, but this will come back. This is just the leaves. The root of all these plants is back, and this stuff is super nutritious, you know. And you know, I can just take it like this and eat it. It's good. It's real good. My kids come out here, yank it off, eat it. They enjoy this. You know, how many kids do you know that eat kale, rock kale out of a plant? You know, it doesn't take much to garden. I have a bunch of videos on my channel. The tools that I use are 4 or 5 tools. Your cost of starting is nothing. Raised beds, scrap wood. You can get scrap wood anywhere to build some gardens, to build some raised beds. Look at this. This is scrap wood that I found in a parking lot outside of Home Depot. I built the raised bed. So what? Well, the soil is probably a little expensive to bring in if you're in suburbia, but you can always get it. I mean, it's not terribly expensive. You make up for it in one season of good eating. So keep that in mind, guys. Build up your gardens. Teach your kids how to garden. Learn to garden yourself if you don't know how to do it. It's not hard. It's a skill that your kids will use in the future. It's, you know, it's an education all of on its own. So keep that in mind. And thanks for hearing me rant about this. Goodbye.